Hi everybody, this is Maria Clark and thanks for joining me in my studio. Today I have a fun project to make these heart and key pendants. Here are the materials we're going to use. We'll use a couple of colors of clay and these deeply etched stamps, along with a craft knife, a blade, some chain nose pliers, a knitting needle or some tool to smooth out your clay. And then I have these two metal keys that I just got in a set in the craft store, and I have gold and silver, and then a couple of jump rings. And the piece we're going to make can be used as a pendant or as a hanging ornament. I'm also going to use some of this silk ribbon. I'll be tying a bow. And to patina, I'll use some Americana burnt umber paint, along with some Deco Art metallic luster to give a nice glow to the piece. So the first thing I'll do is just take this white clay. It's been well conditioned, and I just got a glob of it here. I'm just forming it into something that I can put around the shank of this key, and you can see I'm just going to wrap it around and close the key. I have way too much clay here, so as I go through refining and making the heart shape, I'll actually be pulling an awful lot of that clay off. And you can see that I'll just continue to finesse this shape, pulling off the excess clay, and just keep finessing it. Now, I'm not going for a perfectly shaped heart. I am going for a bit of an organic feel to this. It's actually going to have hopefully a vintage feel to it. And so I'll just keep working that clay until I get a heart shape that I'm pleased with. And it's just a matter of manipulating the clay. I'll use this knitting needle as a roller to kind of smooth it out, and just keep refining the shape. And that's what's really fun about polymer clay. You can do so much with it and make so many unique and interesting shapes. So I'll just continue to refine that. I'll fuss with it a little bit until I get a shape that I'm looking for. And again, not looking for perfection, but rather looking for the shape of a heart and sort of an organic feel to it. But just keep playing with it, shaping it, using the knitting needle when you need to smooth it out a little bit, or whatever other roller type tool you have, and just get that finished. I'll pull that up and just do my last little bits of refinement here to get the shape that I'm looking for. And so there you go. All right, so this gold clay, I'm going to use this deeply etched stamp, and I'm going to spray it first with a little bit of water so it doesn't stick, and press that down in really hard. And you can see that it's a nice scroll shape. I want to be able to get some patina into those crevices. I've got two stamps here, and I'll just see which one I like the best. And I think for the first project, I'm going to use the longer scroll. So I'll take my craft knife, and I'm just going to go around the edge and sort of fussy cut that a little bit. You don't have to be overly precise, because when we apply it to the heart, we're going to tamp down those edges just a little bit. So there you go. The piece is cut. And now it's just a matter of putting it on the heart shape. So I'll just kind of see where I want it. That didn't really work for me, so I'll try it on the other side. And I think that's going to look nice. So I'll cut off the excess, and then make sure that I press that in. I press it in gently so that I'm not distorting the etching, actually the shape or the stamp itself. But I do want to make sure it's adhered to the clay, and then I will cut off any excess that I have. I do want it to kind of wrap around the edge a little bit, but there's just a little bit too much there on the end. So I'll go ahead and clean that up with my craft knife. And then I've just got a needle tool, and I'm going to make some distress marks because I want this to have an old world worn feel to it. So just some scratch marks and poke some holes in it, and then the paint, when we apply the patina, is just really going to seep in there and highlight those marks. I'm also going to go around the scroll work a little bit and just refine and deepen the lines of that stamp so that it picks up the paint really nicely, and just kind of continue to move around those scrolls to edge them and deepen them a little bit. Okay, there we go. That's looking really good. So I'll get that on a card, and I will get that into the oven for 60 minutes at the manufacturer's recommended temperature, and I'll tent it with aluminum foil just to make sure that it's not scorched or burned. So the piece is out of the oven, and it's looking good. Now I'm going to patina it to highlight the scroll work and to also to highlight the distress marks that we made. So I'm using that Americana Burnt Umber and the Deco Arts Metallic Luster Gold Rush. And so I'll apply this paint, and I just have a stiff brush that I'll use to make sure that it's in all of the crevices and the little dots that we made and the little distress marks. So I'll get that paint pretty liberally applied to the front and the back, and it'll just stain that white clay. Okay, now I'm just going to take a damp paper towel, and it's lightly damp, and just start taking off the excess paint. And just keep working that until I have, you know, the aged look that I'm going for. So take off as much as you think gives you a nice sort of antique look. And then I will take this metallic luster, and it's going to give the gold. I'm going to apply it primarily to the gold clay, but it's really going to highlight this scroll work and give it a really nice glow and a little bit of depth. I'm using a Q-tip. You can use your fingers. I'll use my fingers a little bit later, you'll see, but I'm using a Q-tip to try to hit the high spots of this scroll work, of the stamp. And the Q-tip gives me a little bit of control on where I actually apply the metallic luster. So just keep applying that until I get sort of the look that I'm going for. Use my fingers. The thing about using your fingers, though, that I noticed is sometimes, at least I get a little bit too much paint, and so it could seep into the cracks. You might find that working with the Q-tip works a little better. And then I'll take a little bit of that gold metallic luster and do the edges and just put a very light sheen on the white clay, on the heart itself. There, and I think that's looking really pretty. And when this is dry, you can buff it a little bit with a soft cloth or a paper towel or something like that. So now it's been antiqued. One thing I want to share with you is I did varnish this with Varathane. I'm not going to show you that because we've seen that in other videos, but because it has the patina on it, the paint, and the metallic luster rub, I wanted to be sure it was well sealed to protect clothing. I have these silk ribbons. I've had these in my stash for a really long time, and I'm trying to use stuff up. So I've decided to use silk ribbon and put a little ribbon at the top, but you can see that coming off that roll, it's really crinkly and wrinkled. So I saw in someone's video a tip to use a hot iron, a flat iron, to smooth and iron out a ribbon, and I don't have a flat iron, so I just have this little curling iron, and it really worked really well. I had to take a couple of passes to get that ribbon really well ironed, but I was really pleased with how this turned out to smooth out that ribbon. So that was a really great tip from someone to use their flat iron. And now I will tie it around the key. And this is silk ribbon, so it took me a couple of tries to get this bow done because it's really slippy. This ribbon is really slippery. So you'll see it'll take me a couple of times. But just go ahead and make the bow, and then once you have it tied, you can refine it a little bit so that you get the size that you're looking for. And I think this ribbon, you could use, the color choices that you make are, really your preference and your style and what you find to be really pretty. I liked this sort of rosy purple color. So I'll just play with that ribbon a little bit so that it's a size that I'm looking for. And I don't want this bow to be overly large, so I'm looking for a fairly petite bow here. And then once you have it done, I actually, because this ribbon is so slippery, I'm actually going to put a little bit of tacky glue, Aleene's tacky glue, on the knot of the bow to just to make sure it holds the bow, and then I'll trim off the excess ribbon so that I have it the length that I'm looking for. And I think that turned out really pretty. I'm really happy with the way it looks. Just put a jump ring on that key, and you're good to go with putting it on a chain or a ribbon. I tried another colorway, so this is just silver clay and silver metallic luster with some purple paint. And I think that's also a good look. So here's a look at the final piece. I think it's really sweet, and it turned out really nicely. Here's a close-up of that. And then here are the two different colorways that I did this in. So I want to thank you for joining me in my studio. It's always a pleasure to have you. I want to thank you for watching. Please consider subscribing, leaving me a comment, giving me a thumbs up. I really appreciate it. Thanks as always for joining me in my studio. Take care.